Well, welcome folks to our webinar tonight on how to control paper clutter. I've been talking to a lot of women over the last 4 weeks in our one-on-ones, and when we're talking time management and goal planning, I keep hearing that clutter is getting in the way of being able to focus and really being able for them to feel like they have the time to work on meeting these goals. And specifically, it's paper clutter that I'm hearing over and over and over again. And that probably comes from the fact that a lot of you are in groups like Planner Addicts and things, to where you end up printing a lot of stuff and having a lot of paper and trying to do everything in pen and paper. I am not. I don't do everything digitally. I like paper too. As I sit here, my printer is completely out of ink because I like paper so much. And that's okay. I know a lot of people are, when it comes to um, paper clutter, they're like, digitize it all. And that's just not realistic for a lot of us. And it's just not how we're wired. So I want to dig a little bit deeper into that and see if we can't get some of you all on the right path when it comes to paper clutter, so that you can really move past that and move on to what's really important, and stop letting this be a hindrance. Um, so the first thing that we need to do to control paper clutter is we're going to collect and sort everything. And I want you all to be aware that this could be a 2, 3, 4 day process, okay? Once we're done collecting and sorting, we're actually going to implement a system. And then once your system's implemented, you just have to maintain it. And that's the easy part. It can get a little tricky at first, but once you're into it, it's actually quite simple, and you'll be amazed at how little paper you're shuffling around all the time. So let's talk about step 1, collecting all of your papers. What you're going to want to do is just either gather up a tub or a box or something and go around your house and collect all your little paper stashes. This was really hard for me, and I got really good at doing this after each move. But I found out that I had a ton of unopened mail. And for those of you that were in my Simplify Money webinar series and attended that, you'll know that we had a big, what we called an ostrich time, where we wouldn't even open our mail because we were so in debt and so scared of the bills and stuff that were coming in. And so some of you might be in that place, or some of you just may not have the attention span to open your mail, whatever it is. Make sure that as you're collecting all of these papers, you're getting all of your little, basically, treasure troves of paper. I found envelopes and mail and stuff stuck in some of the weirdest places because I was hiding it from myself. So if you are in that boat, make sure that you're getting all those little stashes. We want to make sure we have everything. Okay. Once you've got it all collected into one spot, I want you to sit through it and open up all of that unopened mail that you found. Get rid of the envelopes. Even stuff that's been opened and you've just shoved it back in the envelopes, let's just go ahead and get rid of all the envelopes. And that even goes for return envelopes, all of that. If you're sorting out some things, cards and stuff, make sure that if you might need the return address that was on them from the sender or anything, that you're writing those down, and maybe take a sheet of paper and write down any that you're finding that maybe you need to send a thank you note to or anything like that. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get rid of all the envelopes. Add your addresses to your address sheet if you need to, all of that kind of thing. And then next, I want you to kind of shift through and sort out all of the trash or things that need to be recycled, or shredded. Kind of get the things that you don't want to have to deal with again later. Get those separated out of what's going to be kept. Okay, and as you're doing that, go ahead and deal with once you're sorting, just sort a keep pile. Don't worry about sorting it any further than a keep pile. And then I want you to go ahead and take care of the trash and the recycling and the shredding and get that off your mind. You'll be amazed once all that's gone, like how small your stack of paper becomes. Once you are done sorting out all of the trash and all of that stuff, you're really going to look at what you've held on to. And I want you to kind of separate it out into these categories, and because I want you to really think about why you're keeping what's left, because you might find that you sort out a lot more. The biggest category of keeps are the things that are absolutely necessary, things that we can't even digitize if we were going to go that route. There's going to be things like copies of your past year's taxes, anything health related, anything property related, like your deeds and titles and leases and that kind of thing, and then warranties. So those are things that you know you need to keep a hold of. So go ahead and put them in one pile. Next, you're going to make a pile. This one's going to get shifted through again later of things that you might need. You're holding on to all those mights. This is going to be bills that have already been paid, guides to electronics or toys, that kind of thing, software, whatever. And then anything you've printed out that's a resource. This could be, oh gosh, recipes, DIY instructions, any kind of how to, things that you're keeping because you think you might need to refer to them later. Get all of that in its own pile. And then the sentimental pile, this is the one that I've always had the hardest time with. And it's only been the last couple months I finally figured out what to do with it all. But this is going to be your kids' artwork, ticket stubs, cards that you've gotten from family members for occasions or whatever. Anything you're keeping simply for sentimental value, it gets its own pile. And the last pile is going to be things that you really need to do something with. Events that you need to RSVP to, forms you need to fill out, bills that need to be paid. We're going to get all that in one place so that we can start learning to take care of it and not letting it pile up. Okay, so once you've collected everything together, you're going to sort out all the trash, all the envelopes, all the just stuff you really don't need to be keeping hold of. And then we're going to sort the keep pile. Okay, and get all those keep piles sorted out into manageable. I put files down on this slide. That's not really what I meant, but into manageable groups, because we're going to go back and we're going to tackle those one at a time as we implement our new system. When I sorted, I really wish I had taken pictures of this because it was about a year and a half ago, and my entire kitchen table and floor in my kitchen was just covered in piles. By the time I was done with this, and what I did was I had some legal paper, and so I would just take a piece of legal paper and lay it over the stack and scribble across the top of the legal paper what that pile was. That way I could just stack them all together really quick. And I put them back in the box where I had collected everything earlier so I could go through it, because this was a really lengthy process. It took me about a week to get through the whole thing. So don't try to do this in one day. It's probably not going to work for you. All right. Well, step 2, we're actually going to do something with all these papers that we found, because we've probably got a good amount at this point, even though we've already sorted out a lot of it. This is where you're really going to want to sit down and think about what kind of system works for you. And this is really going to vary person by person. And I would love it if any of you in my either the Printable Addicts group or the Simplify Goal Planning group or the Simplify Money group would post some of your ideas or even pictures of how you have your stuff sorted. And maybe we can help out some of you that maybe are using the wrong system because, I don't know, you stumbled across it on Pinterest and thought it was cool, or so-and-so used it, or that's just the way you've always done it. If you're dealing with a lot of paper clutter, something about your current system probably isn't working. And it's probably not just you and your lack of discipline. It may be a fundamental thing of it's just not the right system for you. Again, this is something that I kept coming across during my one-on-one calls last month. The two that I kept hearing over and over again were touch it once. I had women that were trying to basically file things every time they got a paper in their hands, and they just found it was taking up a lot of their time. And it was kind of contributing to an ADD of its own. The other system I heard a lot about was getting things done. Some of you may be familiar, have heard of that before. Some of you may not. Basically, it's an extremely elaborate system where you have a file for every day of the month, and then like a tickler file and a delegate. And I love pieces of this. I actually tried that system myself a long time ago, and I've really taken the pieces out of it that work for me, but I had to leave a lot of it behind because it was really an overwhelming system. And so I want you to really look at the system you've been using and see why it's not working for you. Some other big ones that I find don't work for a lot of people, but people really try to do, are a true like filing file cabinet system. And well, actually, I guess that's really the big one that I keep finding that just doesn't really work for people. Um, a lot of people. It may work for some, especially those of you, I don't know if any of you are familiar with personality colors, but greens, that really works for. I might have to do a future webinar on the color personalities. I think that would help a lot of you too. Um, so I really want you to really look at what you're doing. If you find that you're a piler, I know you all are out there. Don't deny it. Um, a clipboard system might actually work best for you. One of my friends, I wish I'd stolen a picture from her, actually has a great clipboard system. She has them all pegged on her wall by her desk, and she has clipboards for like each project, each thing she's working on. It actually works out really well for her. Um, when I first really started sorting my thing, I was big into binders, and you guys will see some of that later. Also, if you're a piler, paper boxes might work really well as long as they're well labeled. You might find that they work really well. At this point, I kind of have a mixture compilation, and I'll show you guys some pictures here in a little bit of a system because that's what works for me. So what the first part of figuring out your system though is to sort those 4 categories we had a little bit ago down a little bit further. Your necessary paperwork, you're going to have some of that stuff that needs to go in a really safe spot. That's actually, well, I guess it's probably on my next slide. Here we go. You're going to have your really, really important documents, okay? And we're actually going to do a series on legacy folders in February with the Simplify Money group. If you're not part of that, PM me, message me, hit me up in one of the other groups, and we'll get you added. We're going to do all about taxes in January and all about legacy folders in February. But these important documents are ones that need to be kept safe. They are original documents and things that, if your house burnt down, you would probably need pretty quickly and wouldn't want to have to go through the process of getting new copies. These are your birth certificates, your social security cards, your financial info like account numbers and passwords and that kind of thing. Your legal documents, wills, divorce decrees, anytime you've been in court, the legal proceeding documents from that. Military documents, whether this be DD 214s, discharge paperwork, enrollment contracts, anything pertinent from your military documents, and things like marriage licenses. To be honest, I keep all of my originals of these in our safe. And then I actually have copies of them in various other places where I might need them. Being a military family, these actually come up a lot. And along with that, military documents are something extremely important to keep. And if there's any other military wives in here, you'll know what I mean by the flood of paperwork that comes home, especially if you've transferred units or anything like that. It's really hard to know what you really need to keep and what you don't. We actually have like its own little file box, one of the ones with the lid that snaps shut on it. Because I was military too, and my husband still is, and so we've just declared that the military paperwork box. Everything goes in there, and it's actually not really well sorted. Like I have a little folder in the back, and then the rest of it's all his. And if it came from the military, it goes in there, and I don't have to worry about it. We kept the important, the absolutely important things right now, our DD 214s, my discharge paperwork, and his contract are in the safe, but the rest of the random military paperwork has its own home. The other things in your need pile that we talked about were warranties and instruction manuals. And I wish I had thought to grab a picture of this. I didn't. I keep mine in a binder. They're all in sheet protectors. I've taken like little sticky address labels and put them on each page protector, and it lists what electronic or whatever is in that sheet protector, so I don't have to like be searching for the small print or anything. And then I have dividers in between them, and so like all the appliances are in one section, all the electronics are in one, all the furniture is in one, all the kids' toys is in one. So it's really easy to, oh crap, this broke, find it, or there's no question, and it doesn't take long. And it's one of the big like 2.5, 3-inch binders. And we keep it in a cabinet in the kitchen. Don't know why we keep it there, but it seemed to be the handiest place for it. So just make sure that you're keeping all of that in together. I have seen it done in a lot of different ways. The binder worked out best for us. I've seen like one of the little file totes, like I was talking, we used for the military documents used for it. Um, so many different ways you can do that. Just find a way to keep them all together, labeled, organized, and be diligent about when you get new stuff or when you sell or get rid of stuff, putting it in or taking it out as necessary. All right. Kids paperwork. This is going to be some of the stuff that just gets really overwhelming. Um, and the tubs that you're seeing in the picture don't quite look like that anymore. That's what they looked like at the beginning of the school year. And yes, I have 2 other kids, but the other 2 don't produce a lot of stuff yet. We use hanging folders, file folders in these, and these were really cheap. They were at Target, and I want to say they were like by the kids' bedrooms, toy, like where the bedroom sets are, and they had like toy organizing stuff over there. That's where I found these. And those are just scrapbook letter stickers on them, and I keep these in the top of their closet. Carson's is actually starting to get a lot into it since she started school this year. Brett's not so much. I've stuck some cute pieces of artwork he's done and stuff in his. And I normally actually keep binders for them too, that have like their growth charts, and some of the other medical documents that I have kept for them. Like I keep a sheet that says each time they've been to the doctor and why and stuff. And anything like that. That binder is actually in the back of these too. The only things of theirs that I don't keep in these tubs are like physical memory items, like their hats and hospital bracelets and stuff. Each kid has their own shallow lidded tub that gets physical items in it as a memory box. I let Carson pick kind of what artwork she keeps and what she doesn't. And we also use Archive so that there's not that flood of artwork paperwork, because she is a little insane about that. So kids' paperwork is really easy to condense once you kind of get it all in one spot. My kids know that they have a rule that the artwork can't overflow these containers. And so if were to start getting full, they're going to have to start getting rid of it. We've done that on and off for over a year now. They each have a binder with sheet protectors that their coloring pages go in when they get loose paper. And once those sheet protectors are full, they're used to having to sort out what's extra in there so they have room for new stuff. So it's just kind of something we've instilled in them for a long time. And this just really kind of helps me too. I noticed with Carson starting kindergarten this year, I really wanted to keep every little thing she brought home because I liked seeing how her letters were progressing and stuff. And I've really been able to whittle it down. And I do have a hanging folder for each school year in hers, and they're tabbed. And then I have like one that's for like everything she's done up until starting kindergarten. So just kind of a way to keep all of their stuff. And when we're talking important documents, and I said that I keep copies in the binders that are in each of these, there's a copy of their birth certificate and their social security card and stuff, so that each kid's stuff is separated out should I need it for that kid. And my idea is that when they grow older, they will just be able to take that with them. All of their important information and stuff will be in one place. When I turned 18, my mom didn't have the slightest clue where my birth certificate and stuff was, and I had to get all new copies. And I actually don't have anything like that from my childhood, just because of us moving so often and things getting lost and stuff. So it's really important to me to keep the kids' stuff together like this. We will go ahead and move on. Sorry, I know I had a lot to say about that. All right, you guys are getting a pretty picture of part of my office above my desk. And like I said, I was a little binder obsessed, and I'm actually slowly changing all of my binders over to disc-bound notebooks, because I find they're just easier. They take up less space, and I actually have those blue and green magazine holders that you see beside the binders actually are where all the arc bounds are. And that's, I guess, another reason I like them, is I don't have to see them unless I need them. We'll get into that. Coupons is another area where a lot of people have a lot of paper clutter. Not really a big deal for me. I don't really coupon anymore. I tried it. It just didn't work for us. We don't buy a lot of stuff there's coupons for. When I was using them, I took an 8x8 scrapbook and added extra page holders in it, and little file tab labels and labeled them so that I can and put the coupons in each little sheet protector that was in there. And that worked out really well when I was doing it. However you choose to do your coupons, if you do coupon, and for the love of God, if you're not going to coupon, don't try and keep up with it. I think I did it for like 3 months before my husband's like, really, you're still sitting and cutting those? I've seen you use like two. So really, don't be afraid to not coupon. um, if you're going to do it, find a way that works for you. Organize by insert, or organize, or cut and organize by category, and make sure that you're purging regularly so that you're not like getting it overstuffed and tons of expired coupons. There are places you can donate expired coupons to like military families overseas and that kind of thing. So make sure that you are keeping up with whatever system you use. Coupons are doing you no good to keep if you can't find them to use them. The other important documents, but ones that aren't so vital that they need to be kept in the safe, need a home as well. If you have a traditional file cabinet, that's great. I tried the file cabinet thing. It would usually just get stuffed full of stuff and I couldn't open it. And so I said the heck with that. To the right of my binders in that picture, you see a little metal, it's a file box. There's not even hanging files in it. It's just regular file folders. In the back of that box, I have my taxes for each year, like with all the W-2s, extra forms, receipts if needed, like the entire tax packet is in a big manila envelope with the tax year Sharpied on it. It's not pretty, but it's functional. The little pieces don't fall out. They're in the back of that. You need to keep the previous 10 years worth of taxes, unless your accountant or anything has told you otherwise. I have a folder in there that has all of our housing paperwork. It has our lease. Right now, it has paperwork from our move this year. Basically, anything that has to do with our housing is in that folder. Loan paperwork. We are working really hard to become debt free. The only loan we have is on our van. So it's the only thing I have in there. And then I do most of our budgeting on the computer. I like to use YNAB, but I still like to print off my reports from it at the end of every month because I'm weird. But what I do each month is I staple everything together and they go up there, but I only keep a year's worth. And then I run a yearly one at the end of the year and it goes in with the taxes. So that just is kind of what I keep up there. It's things that need to be kept, but it really wouldn't hurt me if we lost them in a fire. I mean, it would suck, but it wouldn't be the end of the world. And so I just kind of keep those things right there where it's accessible, but not in my way. So once you kind of have your system set up, and guys, I skipped over a lot here because I really don't want to take up a ton of your time tonight, and we will talk about this in future ones. But I'm just going to give you a really quick rundown of how I maintain this all. The first thing you have to do is handle your mail when it comes in. Okay, no more letting it pile up or shoving it back in the envelope and shoving it in a corner, no squirreling it away. Handle it. Make sure that you're keeping up with your system, however you decide to do it. You can't let it lapse or it's not going to work and you'll be right back where you are right now. Set aside a time each year to purge. Okay, we talked about things that don't need to be kept longer than a year. And I guess I kind of glossed over this before. You don't need to keep utility bills after they've been paid. Okay, that kind of stuff, don't feel the need to hang on to it. I will post a printable in the printable addicts group and probably in the Simplify Money group that gives you kind of a rundown of how long to keep certain pieces of paper. So here's kind of how we maintain our system. The picture you're seeing is one of the 31 fold-in files, and this really helped with our paper clutter issue on one of our landing zones, which was our breakfast island in the kitchen. So what I did was I put this up here. It's got 6 file folders in it. There's one for Carson, my one that's in kindergarten, one for Josh, one for me, which is just labeled to do. There's one named memory, which is stuff that needs to be sorted into the kids' memory boxes. One that's listed as to file. And for some reason I am blanking on what the last one is, right? Oh, projects, which right now is like our list of stuff that we're doing around the house and that kind of things that my husband needs to be able to grab when we're working on stuff, and I don't really want him digging through our other filing areas. So what I do, and behind all those folders are like envelopes, stamps, checkbooks, that kind of thing, so that when I'm ready to pay bills, it's all right there. And in the front, you see my random collection of notepads and sticky notes and pens and things that would normally just kind of get lost on our counters. We crowd them there so we're never, if we're on the phone or something, we're not searching for that kind of thing. Um, so when paperwork comes in, mail or stuff my daughter brings home or whatever, it immediately goes into this, and I call it my holding file. So I sort it out into where it needs to be, and that uh, folder you see sticking up above it in the front is actually my daughter's homework notebook, and it's really handy because when she comes home, she knows exactly where it is because it only goes to school on Fridays. Um, so we don't have to worry about it getting lost or misplaced. That's just it's home. But anyways, when mail comes in, it gets opened and then it gets sorted into whatever needs to be done. Obviously, if it needs to be handled immediately, it gets handled immediately. If it needs to be handled in the near future, but not right that minute, like it can wait until my home management hour later in the week, I stick a sticky note on it with a quick note about what needs to be done with it, and get it put away. Uh, so everything goes in one of those holding files. I have an hour set aside every payday, which for us is every other Thursday, where I pay bills and handle all the money stuff. That is my money hour, and it's once every 2 weeks. So any bills and stuff go in the to do file for me. Anything that is just something that just needs to be filed, if it's an important piece of paper or whatever, goes in the to file. If it's something my husband needs to deal with, it goes in his folder. Um, and same for Carson's and the memory stuff. So I do this every day when Carson brings home her folder from school with all its paper and that kind of stuff. Um, and it just all goes there. So I have my money hour every other week, and then every Sunday I have what I call my home management hour. This is basically where I handle all of the paperwork for our home, other than the bills that are being paid. And I actually keep a section in my planner for bills that need to be paid. So on Sunday, I take this holding file into my office, and I pull out all those folders and I deal with them one by one. So, Carson stuff I sort through and see, does it need to be put away somewhere? Is it something I need to fill out and send back to school if I haven't already? That's where we keep like her school lunch calendar, and those, school activity calendars and stuff, so they're easily accessible. So I deal with anything in her file. Josh's file, I usually just toss to him and he handles it on Sunday, or he'll take it to work with him on Monday and finish up whatever's left and bring it back. My to-do file, I go through and see if it's something that needs to be taken care of during that coming week, or if it needs to be taken care of during that hour. If it needs to be taken care of, I take care of it. If it's something that's coming up that week, it goes in that section of my planner. My planner's set up Monday through Friday, and so it just goes in the section of my planner where it needs to be. Um, and then I go ahead and file everything in the to file. I move the memory box folder stuff to the memory boxes, and kind of flip through the project folder and see if there's anything that needs to come out or be dealt with out of that. And that brings us back down to 0 with nothing in those folders. And they go back in the holding file, and it goes back on the counter to be ready for the next week. This system for me does a couple things. First of all, I've done it for a while, and so now I trust my system. So the things that are in these folders don't bother me all week. They're not taking up space in my brain, because let's face it, there's not much left for extra stuff. And it keeps everything corralled, so that I'm not going, oh crap, where did that go? Or, where's her permission slip? We know where everything is. And really, that just alleviates so much stress and frees up so much space in my head, that I don't mind everything waiting until either Sunday or Thursday to be taken care of. I hope that's kind of making sense to you all. Because that can just it can be really overwhelming when we're constantly worrying about this paperwork and it's in our way. And this keeps it out of the way and off your mind. And remember what I said in the beginning, folks, that not every system is going to work for everybody. So if you're looking at my system going, oh, no way, just figure out what's going to work for you. Maybe a piece of it will and a piece of it won't. You never know. Um, and I could honestly go into so much more depth on some of this. So feel free to let me know if you guys have any questions or anything that I haven't covered. Trying to kind of think. Um, I do keep a lot of paper when it comes to meal planning and finances, and I pretty much covered finances. I do have a binder for meal planning. I have a section for it in my everyday planner, but I do have quite a few recipes that are on paper, and I would prefer to keep them that way, whether they're handwritten family recipes or whatever. They are all in a binder. And like I said, we're paying off a lot of debt, so I guess this would probably pertain to a lot of you. We have a lot of collections paperwork and stuff that needed to be kept from when we paid it off and stuff, and that's also all in a binder. I've chosen to keep it separate from like the taxes and our day-to-day finance stuff because it really is an animal of its own. And if anybody wants to know more about how I've chosen to handle that, because I know that can be really overwhelming, especially when it comes to medical bills and collections and stuff, let me know in the Simplify Money group, and we do a complete presentation just on that or discussion just on that. Um, but I didn't want to really go into depth on things that aren't pertaining to almost everybody. Um, that also goes for all my work at home paperwork. We'll do a separate thing on that as well. Because again, it doesn't really pertain to everybody that's on here, and I don't want to bog everybody down with that. So let me know if you guys have any questions. Pop over in the question box right now and let me know. Let me know. Post it in the Printable Addicts group or the Simplify Goal Planning groups if you really think that you've learned something and can take something from this. And I really want to see everybody's progress. I want to see how big your piles are before and after the trash purge, because I'm telling you that can be such a huge, huge difference. And I think that's actually all I really have for you guys tonight. So we can go over that and kind of hone in on some areas and do some other presentations, getting a little bit more specific. I know a lot of you, I'm getting in the questions box right now that you want to see my planner. That video should be live on the blog Friday. So I know you guys have all been asking that, but I'm gonna release that planner, that video, along with the teaser for the new planner pages coming out. So, and yes, I'm seeing lots of questions about that too. The teaser for that will be out on Friday. Okay, so the planner video and the teaser for the new pages will be out on Friday. Let me know. I'm not really seeing any other questions outside of those two things. So I will see you all in the groups, and let me know if you've got any other questions, and we will announce the next webinar here pretty soon. Have a good night.